We're gonna do the wheel bearing on both sides of the vehicle, because usually when one side goes, then the other side will go. So on those trucks, they're actually bearing hub assembly. So the bearings are already pressed in those new hubs. It already comes with the sensor for the ABS. So we have to take her rotor and her caliper with her brakes off. Now when you raise a vehicle like this, always make sure that you use both a jack and a jack stand. Make sure that if something happened, the vehicle doesn't fall on you. The first thing that we're going to have to do is actually take those two little lock washer out, and those are very easy to push back in. Usually they're just holded by those little tab here, so you just twist them to take them out, but to push them, to put them in, you just push them and then the tab will move out of the way. Okay, so now that we have those washer off, the next thing that we're going to do is actually unhook our ABS sensor here, which the plug is held by those two little clips. Those clips here, you just squeeze them together like this, and then you should be able to push them in. Now I might need two hands for this, so I might not be able to show you that on the camera, but anyway, you get the principle of it. This is what's holding that connection in the back here. So it's put like this with the lock towards the bottom, like that, into those holes. Now to release this plug, we have to move this little tab up. So I find that to release it was easier to push it with the screwdriver at the bottom on the little red spot here, and then after this is up, then you can press on this little tab, black tab here, and then pull the plug apart. Now we have to take the cable out of here. So those, you just put the little flat screwdriver in here, and then the little twist, and now it hooks, and you can just pull your wire out. There is another one into the back of this bracket here, same thing. Now we have our cable out. To make it easier to take a caliper out, I would suggest to turn the wheels, and now you can have access to all of the bolt that you need to. Now we can take the caliper off of the bracket, or we can keep the whole assembly together with the brake pad. I'm choosing to keep the whole assembly together with the brake pad. I know that those brakes are still good, there's no problem with it. The pads are still very thick. Those are the max brake, by the way. I think I have it on this truck for almost 3 years now, no problem. They're not expensive, and the pads are ceramic, and those are special. I have a special coating on the rotor. They don't really rust that much. You can see this is just surface rust here, but it's actually not flaking off or nothing like this. Those are very good. You can watch my video about them. But anyway, to go back to it, if we want to take this out as a assembly, what we have to do is just take a pry bar and pry our two pistons in a little bit. This usually helps if you're going to remove the cap for your brake fluid here. So don't remove it, actually just loose it up, and it leaves space for the fluid to move up as you're compressing your brakes. Now don't forget to close that cap off after you're done this job though. Okay, because you don't want moisture in that fluid. So it's just a pry bar like this. We don't have to compress those brake too much. Those cylinder, the pistons, brake pistons. Now be careful when you're doing that though. You want to make sure that you do not damage the boot or rip the boot of your piston. So now we don't have to do much. as soon as you do it a little bit to be able to move your caliper, you can hear it. I can feel it. Can't really see it that much, but it's just loose enough, so we should be able to slide our brake right off our rotor right now. So now we just want to loose up the top bolt here. There's also one at the bottom right here. So those are actually, if you want to do matrix or standard, so 13/16 fits the best depending on your socket that you have at home. You can use a 21 mil too. If your boat a bit rusty, 21 mil is a little tiny bit loose on it, so it might be easier to put on, but be careful not to round up your boat. If you need to change your brakes and you're going to remove the caliper from the bracket, you can use a 13 mil or ½ inch. This is on a Dodge Ram 2016, by the way. 2013 to 2019 or 2019 Classic, they're pretty much all the same, so we will use pretty much all the same tools on there. Might be a bit different if you have 4-wheel drive compared to 2-wheel drive. Now, as always, if you're going to take your caliper assembly, never let it just hang by the hose. This is why I got the second box for the hub assembly on top of my jack carrying case, and I'm going to let the caliper sit on here so there's no pressure on this hose. Today I'm using the YOB PBLIW01 high torque to remove those both. You can see that in my tool review section. Now that both bolts are out, you can just remove the caliper, set it down on something. That might be easier if you wait to remove the washer so that it holds the rotor in place for you, or you can do it the same way I did. Now we can remove the rotor. Like I said, this is the rotor. It's about 3 years old. This truck here drives about 20,000, 25,000 kilometers per year. Now this is the hub assembly we're gonna remove. This side wasn't too bad. Now all there's left to do is to remove the 3 bolts that are holding your hub assembly by the inside. So this one here, and the one at the top over here, and those, just like your caliper, always take a 21 mil socket. There's not too much space at the back for at least 1 or 2 of them, so using the impact gun might not be the best idea, or you might not have space to fit it. So having a nice long ½ inch ratchet, or a breaker bar, or a ratchet with a bar might be your best bet for those. For the bolt towards the front of the truck, your linkage might be in the way for your sway bar. So for this one, I recommend using a wrench with the box end. Now, because this is 12 point, I would use one that is very tight on there. So 13/16 is the perfect size for this. And then what you're going to do the trick of the double wrenching by putting the box end of another wrench on top of it, and now we have lots of power to pry this bolt loose. So you remove your 3 bolts. All you have to do now is you just grab a mallet and just hit on the edge from the inside here. On this side there's no dash shield, so that's the easiest side to do it. there's some nice build up in here. I'll have to clean. This is why it was so hard to knock the hub assembly out of there. And then while banging it, I bend the dust shield a little bit, but this is not that big of a deal. I can just straighten this up and a couple knock. Pretty straight. The thing that I like to use to clean up all of this is actually a sanding disc like this on a drill or a die grinder. So now that it's all cleaned up, we're ready for the new hub assembly. Now make sure that you don't forget to put your dust shield on first. Pass your wire through. Dust shield goes away from your rotor, so make sure that this lip here is farther from your hub assembly. Now we can put this in. Your wires goes towards the front of your truck, so that's going to be our top bolt here, like this. Then we can insert the bolt in the back. So you might have to wiggle your dust shield a little bit to make it easier. You can move your hub assembly in and out a little bit. That might help get started. There we go, we're all done. So now we just have to put our tire back on and make sure that we close our cap for brake fluid. If you like that video, please like and subscribe.